Oh, it's all been leading up to this. Not talking about the Super Bowl. I'm talking about Pete Prisco's final power ranking.
Oh, yeah.
The Bucs started 9th, but I'm going to give Pete credit here. I took a look back at the very first power rankings of the season, read what Pete wrote. He said this: with Tom Brady, they are an instant Super Bowl contender if he's the same Brady. The secondary will be the key to the defense. And that secondary certainly lifted them through the playoffs and into the Super Bowl. Bucs with a giant leap up 6 spots, winning the Super Bowl from that wild card position. The Chiefs and Packers 2 and 3, those are the teams that started 1-2 respectively in Pete's power rankings. So let's get old Petey Pancakes in here. Pete thought he was going to be taking a vacation as soon as the Super Bowl ended, but no. We need his power rankings, and up next, your mock draft. First things first, Pete. Bucs, number 1. And you said it. I mean, it was really all going to come down to the secondary, most notably that defense for Tom Brady to win it, and they got it done.
Yeah, and you got to give the secondary a lot of credit, particularly in the postseason. You know, a bunch of young guys who grew up, and you saw it across the board. The cornerbacks all played well, all 3 of them. The safeties played well, and it really was a good plan by Todd Bowles to slow down Patrick Mahomes. They wanted him to be patient. We've said that all along. The one thing that Patrick Mahomes doesn't like to be as a quarterback is patient. The Chargers have had success making him patient at times, slowing him down. He doesn't like it. He admitted it after the game on Monday. He said, look, I got to be better at passing on the big play and taking the easy chunks in the middle of the field. And I think kudos go to Todd Bowles and that defense for really coming up with a great plan.
Major hypothetical for you, Pete, but what the hell? If not for Tom Brady and the Buccaneers, who would have won the Super Bowl this year?
Well, I picked Kansas City to beat Green Bay, so I still think that they would have won the game. I don't think the Packers have the defense that the Buccaneers have, and they would play a more fast-paced type of game. And so I think Mahomes would have been able to get involved in a shootout with Aaron Rodgers and probably would have won that game. But one of those 2 teams, those are the 2 teams I picked before the season, and they very easily both could have won it.
And if not for Patrick Mahomes, the Kansas City Chiefs, it would have been the Buffalo Bills in the Super Bowl. They do finish top 5 at number 4, but what do they need to do to take that next step to get back to where they were in the early 90s on the doorstep of those Super Bowl titles?
Well, they need to get bigger on defense. I think that's been a problem for them for a long time. Teams have run the ball on them. They got better as the season moved along, stopping the run. But they got to be, more stout in the middle. I think that's a big problem at times. And I think they also need another weapon on the outside. John Brown was banged up all year. You need that speed element outside. If it's not him, maybe add another one. Also, the upgrade at the tight end position. Dawson Knox has been okay. Hasn't been what they thought he would be. More weapons you give Josh Allen, good thing. Bigger you get on defense, a great thing, because they need to be better against the run.
Let's take a look at those top 10 rankings again from Pete Prisco as he gives his final power rankings for the season. And it's clear at the top. But once you get past 5 in the Seahawks, of those teams, Saints, Steelers, Ravens, maybe even the Browns, which team has the best chance, in your opinion, to come from out of that top 5 and win next year's Super Bowl?
The Ravens. And I think it all stems from the fact that they're going to make a concerted effort to improve the passing game. Look, Lamar Jackson needs to be better throwing the football, but he needs help. He needs better people on the outside. Once they get some big playmakers on the outside, I think he will improve. Remember, they played with a makeshift offensive line. The left tackle, Ronnie Stanley, was hurt. That really caused them some problems. They had to shuffle Orlando Brown over from the right side to the left side. So I think the Ravens can do it, but it all, depends on that passing game. Can they improve the passing game to the point where they put fear in defenses? Because right now they don't.
All right, let's jump outside Pete Prisco's top 10, and the Rams finish number 12. Going to have Matthew Stafford now. Where does that put them going into next season?
Well, I think it puts them, again, back into the playoffs. Does it put them into the Super Bowl? Look, Jared Goff struggled last year at times. But again, when you have 3 guys on your roster like they do in Stafford, Aaron Donald, and Jalen Ramsey taking up $70 million of the cap, that means you're going to have attrition at other spots, and that's going to be a problem for the Rams. I think this is going to test Sean McVay as a coach. It's going to test all the coordinators to come up with ways to compensate for the fact that they don't have a big depth in terms of the roster, and it's going to challenge Les Snead. He's done a really good job drafting after the first round. He's going to have to do it again because there are some issues on this team. Can they keep up the pass rush? That's been a problem. Aaron Donald's great, but who else can rush the passer? So there's challenges there. I think Stafford's an upgrade from Goff, but there's a lot of challenges as well.
When looking at the teams, it seems like you have a clear-cut philosophy that if you make the playoffs, you're going to be ranked ahead of a team, even if they have more wins than you. You got the Dolphins ranked below Washington and Chicago.
Yeah, and I think the Dolphins are moving in the right direction. You know, Chicago, to me, was one of those teams that snuck into the postseason. They weren't very good. Will they make a move at the quarterback position? There's desperation there with Matt Nagy and Ryan Pace. They have to win this year, so maybe they make the move to go get Carson Wentz or somebody else. I think Miami is headed in the right direction. Brian Flores is a darn good coach. They have a lot of young talent. It all depends on what they do at the quarterback position. Is Tua the guy? Is he the long-term guy? Or do they go make a move and maybe try and get Deshaun Watson? If they get Deshaun Watson, watch out for the Miami Dolphins. Because I'm not sure Tua can make the type of leap that many expect him to make.
You got a bunch of teams out there that might be trying to go make a big splash with the quarterback. Then you got a team like the LA Chargers. They've got their guy. And this kid was player of the year, rookie of the year offensively, Justin Herbert, but he has a new head coach. What do you expect for the Chargers moving forward?
Yeah, and one thing the Super Bowl taught us, and we focused on Tom Brady, we focused on that defense, is if you're stout on the offensive line, you're going to have a good team. And the Buccaneers really were good on the offensive line all year long, and adding Tristan Wirfs at right tackle solidified that group. I think the Chargers need to do the same thing. Their offensive line's been an issue for a long time. It was an issue for Phillip Rivers. It's been an issue for Justin Herbert. So get stronger on the offensive line. And let's not forget, they get Derwin James back. They have a new defensive-minded head coach. They still have Joey Bosa who can rush the passer. They have talent on that side of the ball. So get better on the offensive line. You'll score more points, and I think they could be a playoff team next year.
All right, Brandon Staley taking over there, and we'll see what Justin Herbert can do in year 2. Moving outside of the teens and into the 20s, and that's where you're going to find some NFC East teams like the Giants and Pete, the Cowboys, whose season was totally derailed, first by the injury to Dak Prescott.
Yeah, and they have to figure out what they're going to do with Dak Prescott. I think they signed him to a long-term deal. That's what I would do. He should take it. If it's a good deal, don't settle, but take it because there's a lot of leverage on his side. He can play for the franchise tag and then become a free agent, so he has the leverage. But they need to get healthy. Injuries crippled that team last year, and when you're in a COVID year and you don't have a lot of work outside training camp, you're going to have problems when you have guys go down, and they had big problems. So hopefully the offensive line gets better and healthier. If those guys get back up there, they key that entire team, particularly in the offense. And they also have to be able to be better on defense. But I think Mike McCarthy will turn that team around. I think they'll be the favorite in the NFC East this year.
Our producer, Jack, who puts the topics together, always tries to find the head-scratching moves that you make in the power rankings. And he found that you actually moved the Detroit Lions up 2 spots after trading Matthew Stafford. Why is that?
Well, one of the reasons I moved them up is because I moved the Houston Texans down. I think that team's a disaster right now. You look at what the Texans are doing. What are they doing with Deshaun Watson? You got to keep him. I wouldn't trade him. But again, around him, what do you have? Who is Culley as the head coach? I like him. I've heard really good things about him. But he hasn't even had a chance to sit down and meet with Deshaun Watson yet. And so I think there's a lot of issues, which is why I moved the Texans down. It's not necessarily moving the Lions up, but it's moving the Texans down.
Okay, so let's more on the Texans then. How do you expect this thing to go down with this Watson drama and the new head coach?
Well, I think both sides are dug in. I mean, Watson says he's not going to play for him, and they say they're not trading him. And as you get closer to the draft, you might see more panic on the Texans part of it. Is that somebody going to wow him? I'm not trading a franchise quarterback who's 25 years old. He's a great kid in the community. He's a great kid in the locker room. He's 25. He's a star quarterback. Why would you trade that? Sit down, try and smooth things over. If you have to fire Jack Easterby because he doesn't like Jack Easterby, get him out of there. But find a way to smooth things over because I'm not trading a franchise quarterback at the age of 25.
And finishing last place in Pete Prisco's power rankings, the team he used to cover on a daily basis, the Jacksonville Jaguars. Is this just a setup, Pete, to make them a high riser in the offseason with the #1 pick in the draft and Trevor Lawrence coming?
Yeah, they're going to be much higher in these rankings when the season starts. And if they don't compete for a playoff spot in year 1 and compete for a Super Bowl in year 2, they've done things wrong. They have 4 of the top 45 picks in the draft. They have the most cap room in the league in a year where half the league doesn't have enough cap room. They can't even function right now. They should be able to pick and choose what players they want. They also have some good young players like DJ Chark, James Robinson, Miles Jack. If that defense can't get improved with the free agency and the draft picks, then something's wrong. And we know Trevor Lawrence is going to be a big-time player.
Just to make sure I heard this correctly, Pete Prisco, you're basically saying that if Urban Meyer doesn't compete for a Super Bowl in year 2, he's doing something wrong?
With all that, with all those assets, yes. And they don't exactly play in a great division either. So with all those assets, if he's not competing for a Super Bowl, I'm not saying he's going to get there, but at least pushing like the Buffalo Bills pushed this year.
Wow.
If he's not doing that, then something's wrong.
All right, Urban. Yep. You got 1 year of the honeymoon, and then you better be in the AFC Championship game in year 2 with the Jacksonville Jaguars, according to Mr. Jag, Pete Prisco. And these are the odds to win next year's Super Bowl. Jacksonville nowhere to be found, but maybe next year, right? Kansas City's the favorite, followed by the champs, Tampa Bay and Green Bay. 9-1, Buffalo and Baltimore, 12-1 to win it all next year.
Coming up next on HQ Playoff, Lenny was a star for the Super Bowl champions, but will he stay to try for another ring next season? Plenty of questions for Tampa Bay as they head to the offseason. We'll talk to John Berger about that next.
Want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis. No yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.